Good morning, class. This is your teacher, Miss Gideon C. Pataxio. How are you today? Welcome to Mapeh's subject, first quarter, week 4. Our most essential learning competency for today's lesson is identifies distinct characteristics of arts from various art movements. The lesson that we are going to tackle this morning is about the characteristics of arts from the various art movements. So, what is Impressionism? In the second half of the 19th century, emerged the Impressionist movement. Impressionist artists moved away from the established practices and discovered new ways. They used pure and mixed colors side by side using short broken strokes for more visual effect on the subject. They started in something new like capturing scenes of life like household objects, seascapes, houses, and ordinary people. They preferred working outdoors in the natural light, incorporating unusual visual angles. Out of proportion objects, subjects placed off-centered, and empty spaces on the canvas. So all this characterized the works of Claude Monet, Auguste Renoir, and Edouard Manet. Manet is best known for his landscape painting, depicting his flower gardens and water lily ponds. Renoir's works were snapshots of real-life paintings of actual people and figures. Manet's works depicted modern life subjects. So the pictures on your screen shows the example of the works of Monet, Renoir, and Manet. First, we have the Arises in Monet's Garden by Claude Monet in 1900s, oil on canvas. Second, we have The Bridge Over a Pond of Water Lilies by Claude Monet on 1899, oil on canvas. Next pictures, we have the Auguste Renoir works. Last picture is the Edouard Manet works. We have the bar at the Folies Burger and the Argenteuil. So now let's proceed to the Expressionism. Another group of artists who became popular in the 1900s are the Expressionists. They created works with more emotional force and not unrealistic or natural images. To attain this, they use distorted outlines, unrealistic or unnatural images. Their works are not actually what they see in the physical world, but depend on their imaginations and feelings. So the different styles that emerged within the Expressionist art movements are the Neo-Primitivism, the Fauvism, Dadaism, Surrealism, and the Social Realism. First, we will discuss the Neo-Primitivism. The Neo-Primitivism is an art style of combined elements from the native arts of the South Sea Islanders and the wood carvings of African tribes. So, among the Western artists who adapted these elements was Amadeo Modigliani. Oval faces and elongated shapes of African art can be seen in both his sculptures and paintings. So the picture on your screen shows the Neo-Primitivism by Amadeo Modigliani. We have the yellow sweater and the next we have the head. Next we have the Fauvism. Fauvism is the style of Les Fauves or French for the wild bees, a group of early 20th century modern artists whose works emphasize with strong colors and visual distortions. Most known artist was Henri Matisse. So the characteristic of Fauvism include the important use of unnatural colors gives new emotional meaning to the colors, and creating a strong, unified work that appears flat on the canvas. So this picture on your screen shows the artwork of Henri Matisse. We have the blue window in 1911 and the woman with hat in 1905. Next, we have the Dadaism. Dadaism is a style characterized by imagination, remembered images, and visual tricks and surprises, as in the paintings of Marc Chagall and Giorgio de Chirico below. So these artists turn their backs from using traditional styles in arts, leading to their new style called the non-style. So the art, the poetry, and the performance produced by Dada artists is often satirical and nonsensical in nature. So we have the works of De Chirico and Chagall. We have the Melancholy and Misery of Street and I and the Village. Next, we have the Surrealism. Surrealism came from the term superrealism, so a style that depicts an illogical, subconscious dream world. So it is a clear expression of the departure from reality, as if the artists were dreaming, seeing illusions, or experiencing a change in mental state. So many surrealist works appeared morbid or gloomy subjects, as in those by Salvador Dali. Others were quite playful and even humorous, such as those by Paul Klee and Joan Miro. So these are the artworks of Joan Miro, Paul Klee, and Salvador Dali. The Personage with Star is work by Joan Miro, and the Diana is by Paul Klee, and the Persistence of Memory is by Salvador Dali. Next, we have the Social Realism. Social Realism is an art movement which expresses the artist's role in social reform. So the artists use their works to show protest against the injustices, inequalities, immortality, and other concerns of the human condition. Social realists have addressed different social issues for the purpose of increasing people's awareness, leading to reform in general welfare. So the pictures on your screen shows the artwork of Ben Shine and Pablo Picasso in Social Realism. We have The Miner's Wives by Ben Shine in 1948. It uses the egg tempera on board. And the next picture we have the Guernica by Pablo Picasso in 1937. It is an oil on canvas. Now let's proceed to Obstructionism. In the 20th century, the Obstructionist movement existed from various intellectual points of view. So this intellectualism was reflected in art. Expressionism was emotional, while obstructionism was logical and rational. So geometrical shapes, patterns, lines, angles, textures, and swirls of color were used. Representational obstructionism depicts still recognizable subjects, while pure obstructionism does not recognize any subject at all. Obstructionist movement has four art styles, namely Cubism, Futurism, Mechanical style, and the Non-Objectivism. First, we will discuss what is Cubism. The Cubist style was derived from the word cube, a three-dimensional geometric figure composed of lines, planes, and angles. So Pablo Picasso, a Spanish painter, sculptor, is foremost among the Cubists. So the pictures below shows an example of a Cubism style or a Cubist style painting. The Three Musicians is painted by Pablo Picasso in 1921, and The Girl Before a Mirror is Pablo Picasso again in 1932. Next, we have the Futurism. Futurism is a style of art that began in Italy in the early 1900s. It is an art of fast-paced, machine-propelled age. Artists draw inspiration through motion, force, speed, and strength of mechanical forms. Thus, their works depicted the dynamic sensation of all this as seen in the works of Italian painter Gino Severini. So the picture on your screen shows an example of an artwork of Gino Severini in 1915, which is called The Armored Train. Next, we have the mechanical style. In mechanical style of art, basic forms such as planes, cones, spheres, and cylinders all fit together in a precise and neat manner. So the picture on your screen shows an example of a mechanical style painting by Ferdinand Ledger. Called it The City. Next, we have the non-objectivism. From the term non-object, works in non-objectivism style did not make use of figures or even representations of figures. So the painting on your screen shows the work of Piet Mondrian, and he called it New York City. Now let's move on to the optical art or the op art and pop art. Optical art or op art is another art movement that gives us a visual experience. It is a form of action painting taking place in the viewer's eye, giving the illusion of movement. Popular art or pop art is a movement that made of use of commonplace, trivial, even nonsensical objects that pop artists seem to enjoy and laugh at. So the pictures on your screen shows the example of op art and pop art. The first painting we have the Bridget Riley. She called it Hall. And then next we have the Andy Warhol painting, and he called it Marilyn Monroe. Contemporary art forms, installation art, and performance art. Installation art is a contemporary art form that makes use of sculptural materials and other media to modify the way the viewer experiences a particular space. It is also called environmental art, project art, and temporary art. It creates an entire sensory experience for the viewer that allows him to walk through them. Performance art is a form of modern art in which The action of an individual or a group of particular place and in a particular time constitute the work. It involves four basic elements, namely the time, space, the performance body, and a relationship between the performer and audience. The performer himself or herself is the artist. So we have some notable installation art pieces by Filipino artists. We have the Cordillera Labyrinth and the Go-To Room 117. And we also have some examples of performance art. In the performance art, the performer himself or herself is the artist. So that's all for our lesson this morning. I hope you enjoy and you've learned a lot. Thank you for listening. Your activities and for your quizzes, just follow the GAITF link on your screen. Once again, good morning and have a nice day.